Alright, everyone. Moment of truth is finally here. We finally got to see Spider-Man in the Civil War trailer part 2. Now, I'm really excited because the way that Captain America calls Spider-Man is awesome. Alright, I'm tired of this bullshit. And then Spider-Man just comes and he takes Captain America's shield. Now, I thought that was the most awesome moment ever because, as some of you may know, some of you may not know, Spider-Man becomes the leader of the new Avengers later on in the series. I mean, not in the series, in the comic book universe. Also, Spider-Man is a very, very strong character. And after Marvel getting Spider-Man back from... he got him back from Fox. I believe Fox had Spider-Man for years. And we had these shitty Spider-Man movies to the point where people were really bashing on Spider-Man. Now, I'm a humongous Spider-Man fan. Like, Spider-Man's one of the reasons why I got into comic books. I really, really love Spider-Man. Like, he's like life, like everything. Like, because he's funny, he's super strong, the Spidey sense, like his sense of doing what's right all the time, it actually comes into conflict with, like, his real world life. I think that he's a really good character, and, like, you know, people need to respect him more for what he is as a superhero, because it's not, how do you say, it's not about, like, the fancy gears and gadgets and stuff like that a lot of the heroes have had lately. And I feel like people are saying that Spider-Man is not a strong character anymore, and compared to everybody else that's coming out now, nobody's interested in Spider-Man anymore. Now, to me, that's total and utter bullshit, because Spider-Man paved the way. Spider-Man is incredible, and he's actually really, really strong. Spider-Man is like one of the only few people that can take on the Hulk aside from Thor and Wolverine. I mean, there's a couple, I believe it's Thor, Wolverine, and Spider-Man that can take on the Hulk, because I really don't consider, like, Iron Man, like Tony Stark, being able to take on the Hulk without the suit, because without the suit, he's nothing, you know? But, I mean, it's pretty cool because the Hulkbuster suit was named Veronica, which is my name, so I'm like, yes! But in the comic books, Spider-Man's able to take down the Hulk with his super strength, and he's actually kind of right there near Captain America in strength, because if you notice in a lot of the films, Captain America is able to lift up a little bit of a car, but Spider-Man is able to, like, pick up cars and toss them at people. Like, I believe it was in the first ones with Tobey Maguire where Hobgoblin had the kids in the trolley, and he was holding the trolley over the bridge and everything. Like, he was holding a whole trolley full of people above air to make sure they didn't fall and plummet to their death, which, you know, it's a Spider-Man thing to do. And I also really like the new actor that they have for Spider-Man, because I'm sorry, like, I just couldn't, I couldn't get around, what's his name, Andrew Garfield. He was just so annoying to me. Like, when he had the suit on, it was okay, but then when he was just there, it's just like, ugh, you're not my Spider-Man. I want my Spider-Man. Like, bring him back, you know? And the kid is actually a kid, Thomas Holland, and he did a show, like a Broadway live show, I think it's called Billy Elliot, and he was talking about in interviews that he's actually very happy to play the role of Spider-Man, and he feels like being in those theatrical shows helped him, because in those shows they had to do a lot of acrobatical movements and stuff, so you might actually see a lot of him doing the Spider-Man stuff opposed to stunt doubles. I mean, obviously there's going to be CGIs too, but I actually really like when actors do their own stunts and they don't have any doubles there to do the stunts for them. I think it makes it more, you know, realistic. Spider-Man's obviously going to be on Iron Man's team, which I'm very excited about. I'm also very excited about them getting the right look for Black Panther, because Black Panther's costume looks amazing. And to everybody that's, like, already bad-mouthing and bullshitting Spider-Man's new costume, it's just like, so what if his eyes shrink down a little bit? You guys have to, like, understand that in the comic books and a lot of the TV shows, a lot of Spider-Man's facial expression was shown, like, you know, like, because he can't do this, or, like, you know, like anything like that, because he's covered in the suit, so he can't make weird facial expressions like how we do to express ourselves. So with him, with the eye movement, it's like big, like, we're gonna go small, because then he's like looking, you know, and stuff like that. That's just, I feel like that's just his way of expressing himself, because with Iron Man's suit, you don't really get to see his like, you know, his facial expression or anything like that, and everybody else, their face is basically exposed. But with Spider-Man, you really need that expression, because it's like a perfect example of that would be the Spider-Man issue that came out in September 11th, whenever the Twin Towers were hit and they fell. Marvel came out with a special comic book, and it had the heroes in it, and Spider-Man goes to 9/11 and he sees like the despair and everything that happened, and it was a very interesting time period for the comic book world, because they made the characters relate to what happened in the real world, and his faces in that comic book are a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Like, you couldn't get the expression without the eyes, you know, and the way that the illustrators draw the eyes is always amazing. And that was just like one of the problems with, I feel like, the Spider-Man costumes from beforehand, is that you didn't really have the eyes moving, you know, and you kind of really need that expression to go, because then it's like, okay, he turns his head like that, or like this, and you don't really, sorry about my dogs, you don't really get what's it called, what he's going through. And with Iron Man, it works because he's supposed to be like the dick character, like, you know, so it works for him. But I don't think that they're gonna try to do that with Spider-Man. I'm really happy that Marvel got Spider-Man back. I'm hoping that they introduce him in a few films like how they're doing right now, because I feel like Civil War was the greatest way to bring Spider-Man in there. And once again, it was just like the way that he grabbed the shield, though, and I was just like, he has the shield, and then he held the shield, and I was like, so I watched the trailer, and I screamed in my house, and my dad's like, what's going on? And I'm like, Spider-Man's moving! You don't understand, I'm so excited. But I'm so ready. Like, I'm so ready for this. It's how many months away are we from it? Because I'm so excited. But, yeah, you know, just review Spider-Man. And so what if he has, like, 2 or 3 extra, like, shoulder lines on the suit? I love Spider-Man, okay? Look, like, even the Spider-Man here on the cup, like, you see the way that the eyes are illustrated here. It's an old cup, okay? It's like 10 years old. And then the different illustration here of the eyes. And you could tell because the bottom one, where he has his legs spread out, his eyes are a little different from the top one. But that's just, like I said, to show, what's it called? Expression. Even, I think, hang on a minute. The Spidey on my shirt here, you can see the eyes here, a little different. And a lot of people are saying that maybe he got some tech from Stark, and maybe those eyes help him, like, you know, to zoom in. Like, but, like, maybe they're, like, shrinking in and, like, focusing more, because I was at New York City's Comic-Con, and they are talking about, like, the future of Spider-Man in the comic books, and how they're gonna try to make Spider-Man basically grow up and have his own company, and then they're experimenting and going into space and doing stuff in space, and he has his own space tech. So that might be the idea that they're moving forward with, because a lot of people don't realize, like, Peter Parker is not just, you know, just Spider-Man. He's also very, very intelligent. He's a scientist. His comical relief is good, but he brings a lot to the table. And the reason why a lot of time we don't see so much of his, you know, raw power is because he wants to also be the good guy. Like, he's always worried about everybody else around him and saving everybody else. Like, but if Spider-Man really got serious, because even in his fights, he goes easy on other people because he doesn't want to hurt people. That's like Spider-Man's number one thing, that he never wants to hurt anybody. So I'm really hoping that in this movie we get to see, you know, a lot of like his characteristic and stuff like that, because even in, once again, we're going back to the Shield because the Shield was amazing. He takes Captain America's shields, you know? He doesn't go and hit Captain America in the face. He just, like, kind of disarms him a bit. And that's just something that Spider-Man does. He doesn't want to have to fight all the time. Like, Spider-Man usually goes up to people and he's like, hey, are you alright? Listen, I'm gonna need you to stop doing that, or otherwise I'm gonna have to fight you. And then he's like, alright, I guess I have to fight you now. And it's not really like something that he wants to do, but he does it because he, you know, he needs to. Even in all the movies, you get to kind of see where he's like, please don't do this. And then he's forced to have to fight anyway. And I'm just so happy that we're getting this done right. And at this point, I'm glad that the kid that's playing him, Tom Holland, you know, let me look up a picture. I'm not good at like popping images or anything yet online, so like this is the kid. There we go, that's him. I mean, maybe with the right hair, he's gonna look a lot like Peter, but he kind of reminds me of, what's his name? PETA from the Hunger Games? I forgot his name. Let me see here. Hunger Games. Oh, Josh. I'm going to butcher his name right now. Josh Hickershmanson? I don't know, I'm sorry. But he looks similar. But, you know, it's more about, what I'm excited about is just the fact that he's going to have that swift movement. Them picking a young actor really kind of differentiates Spider-Man from the rest of the cast, because the rest of the cast are, like, older adults, and then we have Spider-Man as a teenager. And I think that it might be good for, like, Captain America to see Spider-Man as a teenager and then see the teenager fighting them, and he's going to be like, I don't want to have to fight a kid, too, because Captain America's not, like, a bad guy, you know what I mean? He's just in a bad situation with his friend right now, Bucky. And honestly, if it was me, I feel like I would just leave Bucky, because Bucky messed up a lot, you know? He killed people, and I mean, I know that he didn't do it anymore, and I get, like, the premise of the movie and what's going to be happening, but I don't know. I feel like Captain also kind of, he fucks up on certain things, you know? All of them fuck up on certain things, but maybe them seeing Spider-Man and understanding, like, we don't have to fight each other is gonna bring it back, because we still have Thanos. That movie that's going to be coming out, and then we need to get the team back together and regulated for that, and then we're going to get to see Spider-Man fighting Thanos, hopefully, and I'm just so hyped. Like, if Marvel does it right, which I'm hoping that they do, because Black Panther's costume was on point, and Spider-Man looks great. It's going to be a great movie. And, you know, guys, just lay off the eyes and the two little extra lines. We've seen many different Spider-Man costumes. Like, what if we see Iron Spider-Man because he's working with Tony Stark? They also have to change things up for the movies, so we got to keep that in mind. Like, whenever X-Men came out, they changed some of the suits for X-Men, and I actually really like the costume changes they did for a lot of the characters. So I'm open-minded about the costume, as long as the actor does it justice and his roles are done with justice. I'm gonna be happy. And yeah, I think that about wraps it up. Happy birthday to my friend Miriam. It's her birthday today, and congratulations to my friend Abel, who just got promoted at work. And I'm gonna keep reviewing on these movies because it's just so awesome. Have a good night, guys. Oh.